the internet. So today I wanted to jump on live. I wanted to do some type of motivational Monday, but I am actually reading a book and they were talking about actually giving resources to implement things to live the better life. So rather than give motivation today, I thought I would prefer to give you guys a tool. So this is actually a reflection that I tend to do at least probably once a week. I taught it a few months back, probably when COVID lockdown first happened, solely because I felt like a lot of people were lacking motivation, including myself. So I hosted a Zoom meeting and I actually jumped in a live and taught this to people. So I figured I'd jump on here and teach it again. So journaling is something that I tend to do quite often. It's something I enjoy to do. Reflection is something that I like to do throughout my whole day. Might be a dancing thing, but always trying to check on what you can improve on, but that's something that I constantly find myself thinking about throughout the day. So for Monday, I prefer to do it a little bit differently. I do enjoy a lot of motivational speeches, a lot of motivational books, as well as podcasts. However, I thought it would just be really cool to give a tool. So the tool I actually learned from Dean Graziosi, and it is called the 7 Reasons Why, or I believe, 7 Reasons Why. And basically the goal of this tool is to shine a light as to why you do what you do. For me, I love to utilize this tool to kind of re-spark motivation and passion into my week. I feel like doing this on Monday is just a great Kickstarter for the week, because Mondays are always, I feel like people tend to be like, oh, it's Monday, I have to go to work, I have to do this. So I feel like this tool just gives people that extra kind of revamp as to why they do what they do in their day-to-day lives. So I wanted to walk you guys through it and see kind of if it helps you guys. So the 7 Reasons Why starts off with, it's a very simple one. It starts off with asking yourself why you do what you do. So you ask yourself that 7 times, and the end goal is to ultimately get to the root, the deepest part of your passion, to kind of remind yourself why it is what you do. I like to do this kind of once a week at least, just to kind of reevaluate what my goals are. It helps throughout the week to shine a light on what things I could do throughout my week to work towards these goals and towards my whys. So you start with the first one. So why do you do what you do? And for most people, the straight answer is, I want to have a successful lifestyle. So what does a successful lifestyle look like to you? I would say for a majority of people, it would be to have a good job and have a nice house, and be able to support for their family. So why is that? Why do you want to support for your family? Well, I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, my mom was a single mother for a little bit, and I saw how much she struggled. So it was always very much a necessity for me to be independent, to have my own financial stability, to be able to not only provide for myself, but provide for my family. I love to be able to take my godson out on dates, as well as my brother and my sisters. So I love to be able to provide, because I don't want them to ever have to see the struggle. So why don't you want them to see the struggle? And again, this just keeps repeating, so this is the third why at this point. So I don't want them to see the struggle of financial instability, because growing up, I grew up with my grandmother. She is 86 this year, and she would tell me stories of how she grew up. When we would be in the kitchen, normally cooking tortillas, maybe empanadas, sometimes cookies if we were lucky. And so as we were cooking, she'd tell me stories of how she grew up. She grew up right around the time that they were building the borders. It was during the Great Depression, and they didn't have much money. Her mother had quite a few kids, I believe it was 7, and she didn't have enough money to be able to provide for them. And my grandmother had to drop out of school at the age of 11, and she didn't make it to the 6th grade. And she dropped out of school to begin working. And she would go knocking door to door, asking people to wash their clothes and exchange. They'd give her a nickel or a dime, quarter if she was lucky. And I remember hearing these stories and knowing the sacrifices that were made before me for me to be able to live the life that I'm living. So my third why is my grandmother, my heritage, and it has to do with showing the people where I'm from that their sacrifices weren't made for just anything. My grandmother worked very hard to make sure that her children were fed. She worked hard to make sure that we were always cared for. Though she didn't ever really have a lot of money, she always would give us gifts, whether they were handmade, whether she would bring a dozen tortillas to my apartment. When I would move to Phoenix, she showed these acts of love through her acts of service. So my third why was making sure that my grandmother's sacrifices didn't go lightly. And so why is that? Well, growing up Mexican American, I have families in both sides, both in Mexico and here on the US side. And I had the luxury of being able to be raised here in the States. I had the luxury of being able to go visit in the summers and visit my family, and I just saw the drastic change of the lifestyles from here to there. So growing up, when I would go visit, I just saw when I would cross the border how there was little children at the border selling gum, selling candy, asking to wash people's cars for, again, here it would equate to probably like a few quarters, but for pesos. And I just realized, like, the stories my grandmother told me, that's still happening. Though we had the luxury of growing up here in the States, and we had the luxury of kind of overcoming those financial hardships, and her now raising a daughter who went to school, was able to provide for her children, a granddaughter who now owns her own company. You know, I see all the generational growth, but I also recognize that we're not that far away from that. It's literally across the border. So my fourth why is for the little girls like me, who didn't have as many luxuries as I did, who didn't have the luxury of being able to grow up here in the States, who didn't have the luxury of being able to be educated, to go to school. I recognize that there's still a lot for us to overcome. So that is my fourth why. So why is it that I want to basically show these little girls that overcoming these things is possible? Well, as well as seeing these little girls, I also have family who's still in Mexico, some here in the States, and my mom is the youngest of 10, so I have quite a big family, and growing up seeing my cousins, and when they come visit me in the summer, I'm always, I guess, flabbergasted by the way they're amused by my lifestyle. When my little nieces come visit me, they're like, oh my goodness, you have your own apartment? Oh my goodness, you have your own car? The things that they saw as the impossible, they were able to see with their own two little eyes, that it is possible, and they're able to get an education if that's what they want. They're able to go work if that's what they want. They don't have to be stay-at-home wives, just because that's what they see and that's what they're surrounded with. As well as realize that though they're young, they're very mighty, and as long as they believe in themselves, they'll be able to overcome whatever it is they set their minds to. So that would be my fifth why. So again, we're just going over again why until we hit 7, because that's, as you see, it's progressed from, oh, I want a successful life, a successful lifestyle, to a deeper why. I want to be able to show my cousins and my family and all their friends surrounding them that things are possible, and they don't have to conform to what society asks them to. And why is that? Why do I find a need to constantly strive to show them that? So now we're getting to my 6th why, and I am the oldest of 4 siblings. It used to be just 3 girls for a while until my brother came along. And Liberarla, the company I've created to liberate her, is just another, I guess, case study for me. To be able to show my sisters that they don't have to listen to society. Being the oldest of 4, I've always had to lead by example. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about how especially during times like this, like COVID. It gets hard. It gets hard to continue working, to continue keeping your head down and just knocking things out and striving towards your goals. And for the people who kept going, there's normally a difference that I've seen. There's people who work towards their goal because they want to reach this, they want to reach success. And there's people who work towards their goals because they need to. They know that there's a must to serve, and they're willing to put in the work no matter how hard, no matter if they want to or they don't. And so you see the difference in how these people work. The people who feel they need to. In this conversation I was having with this person, we were talking about helping with students and teaching them now that we're shifting over to kind of this new norm for COVID. You know, these kids, they still need to be educated. I read this quote from this teacher yesterday, and it said, a student can still be taught, but we cannot regain their life. And I definitely agree with keeping Arizona closed. We do not need to open this up and risk our students and our teachers and our faculty to all of that. But it also doesn't change the fact that we have to educate our youth, because they're hungry for it, and we definitely don't want to lose time, even though we do. It's obviously going to be different. And in this conversation with this person, it was just like, this is a must. Like, it's not, oh, I want to teach these kids about business, I want to teach them about entrepreneurship. Like, no, like, they need to learn. They need this jobs. They need this to learn these job skills. And it's no what if buts about it. Like, there's just, I know I'm gonna get up today to work on this and hustle this out because I need to. Like, nobody else is gonna do it, and I need to be the one to step up. We're the ones that are used to having to step up, but nobody else wants to. So those are my whys. That's my sixth why, because if I don't step up to show people that things are possible, I don't think anybody else will. So my seventh why, and the last one, hopefully you guys are kind of getting the gist of all of this, but so recapping the sixth, why do I feel the need to role model the things that I'm preaching? Because I feel that if I don't do it, nobody else will. So why is that? Seventh and last why. And when I was in high school, I remember struggling through the years and struggling to make friends, struggling to fit in, struggling to find my own voice, struggling to feel heard. And I remember being this club, and I fell in love like instantly. And meeting all these leaders at such a young age I just remember like knowing that these people were surrounding me. It just made me feel like I had somebody who had my back in a time that I was very lost. And so my seventh why is because if I could help somebody who was in my shoes at 15 years old, spiraling in depression, then I want to be able to show that little girl that was in those shame shoes that she's able to overcome it all. You know, I have a friend that I love her phrase. Whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed or I feel like I'm just drowning in all of my emotions, her phrase is, "It can't hurt me." She just kind of brushes off her shoulders and she's like, "It can't hurt me." Like, you've lived all your worst days. You've made it through your whole life, and I can tell you without a doubt it won't hurt you. So if somebody who was in my shoes at 15 years old needs me to be that friend, to dust it off and tell her that it won't hurt her, that she needs to continue striving, continue following her passion and her dream, like, then I got her. And that is my deepest and seventh why. I'm hoping to continue to do these probably every Monday. We'll test out probably different topics to talk about, but hopefully you guys gain some inspiration as well as some insight as to why you do what you do, because this is kind of something I not only teach people, but I tend to ask people in conversations, and it's always interesting to hear people's true why, because I think we're very quick to say, oh, my why are my kids, my why are my wanting to provide for my family, or wanting to have this house that I've always dreamed about, or have this Ferrari that I've always envisioned myself driving. If you keep going and asking yourself, well, why this, why this, why this, you'll get to the deeper root of it all. So thank you for listening, and definitely let me know if that helps. Have a wonderful Monday, and hopefully remembering your why, and it might be a little bit emotional for you to kind of dig that deep, but hopefully that strikes a nerve to keep working towards your goal. I know for me, it always reminds me as to why I need to get up every day and work towards my goals. So that is my Motivational Monday tip. Have a wonderful rest of your week.